What's up, everybody? Noah Kisser back here for another episode of No One Scottie Reviews, episode 11. We took a couple weeks break, one because we were busy. Family and work comes first. And sometimes, things don't go your way. You want to do the show and then something comes up. But we're back and let's get right into it. We got a lot to talk about with you guys. We have a lot of reviews. a lot of reviews. But we also got the Golden Globe winners. I'm not going to go over all the categories. I'm only going to go over the movie ones, which is not a ton. Then we have the Critics' Choice winners. Then we have the SAG nominations. And we have a little piece of news, but let's get right into it. First up, we're going to talk about Love on the Right Course. Love on the Right Course is the very first Hallmark Channel movie of the entire year. We ended off with a good one, Miracle in Bethlehem, PA. And let's get right into it. Whitney, played by Ashley Newberg, is a professional golfer who is struggling to make the cut to qualify for her next tournament in Europe. Concerned that she might not be able to continue competing for the on a professional level, she returns to Budapest and the golf course her family owns there to reevaluate her career. She finds that her father, who has been a recluse since his wife has passed away 2 years ago, has handed over day-to-day operations of the club to a laid-back new golf pro named Daniel, played by Marcus Rosner. Daniel's casual style is at odds with Whitney's, and it throws off her game, literally. As the pair get to know each other, their perspective changes, and a romance develops. But Whitney's former trainer returns and pushes Daniel out. It might just cost Whitney her best shot at love. So, let's get into this for just a minute, right? Looking at the past few of the Hallmark films that have debuted in past years. Last year we had the Dog Lover's Guide to Dating, right? That was fine, to put it the nice way. It was a nice change. It was a nice little change. However, we started off 2022 with where your heart belongs. That one was just straight bad. That was a bad one. This one is worse. Love on the Right Course is a bad film. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. This is a bad film. I like these two stars. I do. And I really want to like this film because I do like sports films. I'm a Hallmark sports fan. I enjoyed Fourth Down in Love. I enjoyed a portion of a winning team. It had its moments. We even had Taking a Shot at Love, which started off, 2020 or 2021? That was a nice little sports-based film. This film, however, doesn't really focus on the relationship and more focuses on nothing. This movie's very unfocused. You bring in Brittany Bristow, who co-wrote this script. And this is her first time she's ever co-wrote a script, I believe. I could be wrong, but I believe she co-wrote this, and she is a cameo / a co-star in it. She plays her competition, Whitney's competition. I know you're going to bring her up a little bit more. I love Brittany, but let's get into this. The movie is bad, not because of the chemistry not being there, but because the script is bad. It's not a very intriguing story. This could be a very good story like a Happy Gilmore. This could have been a Happy Gilmore thrill, right? Not very many golf films are great. I can't think of 5 golf films off the top of my head that are great. I think that Caddyshack is good, and Happy Gilmore is probably my favorite golf film. But this one is definitely a bad Hallmark film. The chemistry is not there. The line delivery is subpar at points because there's not a lot to say with these characters. There's not a lot to do with these characters. The movie is just there. I was watching this and I was bored. I was bored watching this movie. And I thought I was going to be bored with the next film that we were going to talk about. But Love on the Right Course is definitely not a film that I enjoyed all that much. Marcus Rosner is a charming dude. Ashley Newberg is not only gorgeous, but she has charisma. I don't know what happened here. I don't know what happened with this film. I had faith in this one from the very, very beginning when they announced it. However, this one did not work for me whatsoever, and I think that this is easily going to be in my bottom of 2024 for a little while. It is not my worst film of 2024 so far, but I thought it was just a bad little Hallmark film that I wanted a lot more from. What did you think about Love on the Right Course?
Well, I wasn't excited about it like you were because I'm not a fan of golf. Not my thing, not my sport.
Mhm.
The previews didn't really look all that interesting from what I saw. Um, and for me, it was just a bad film that really kind of I lost interest in about halfway or so through it. Um, I just think that I think Brittany probably should have been our lead actress in this one since she co-wrote it. I think she should have been also the co-star lead actress in it. But I mean, with I don't know how much since she's a co-writer, I don't know how much she actually wrote her the script. But for me, you know, they was doing this. What really kind of just threw me off and took me out of the movie was they done that. They kind of like a love triangle aspect, but wasn't actually a love triangle aspect. It was just her choosing between which caddy she wanted to work with her, and there was the classic miscommunication happening, and one gets mad and kind of ignores her and kind of just completely ghosts her in a way, and just it didn't work for me. I thought that was a very ridiculous aspect they went with. I mean, it just felt too much like a romance storyline when it wasn't. Um, Ashley Newborough, for me, didn't really come off as a professional golfer in this one. She really did look like she could play golf very well. I think she tried her best with what she had to work with, what she could do, but to me, she just didn't really seem like she knew exactly fully what she was doing out there when she was in the role. Um, so it just was a very weak start to the Hallmark season, and pretty much kind of solidified that I'm not going to watch everyone this year.
Mhm.
I'm going to skip probably a good majority of them this year if I don't find any interest in them, because I can't sit through films like this anymore just to get to the ones that I love. So, but I gave this one a 2 out of 5. Um, Probably, that I think that was generous enough, maybe too generous for some people, but I think 2 out of 5 it was a nice little round number to put on this one. But that's pretty much all I have to say about that one. Hopefully, we can get a good one soon.
Well, I went with a 2 out of 5 for this one too. Now, since you're not going to be watching every single one of them, you know that I will be. But what normally happens is, right? You didn't do the other one, a Scottish love scheme, which we will be doing in just a little bit. We will be doing that one uh here within just probably 10 to 15 minutes. You let me watch it first, and if I enjoy it, there's a good chance that you are going to as well. And I know that you really don't want to sit through these bad to mediocre ones to get to a Never Been Christ, the Santa Summit, or a Field Day.
Yeah,
Uh, because you've pretty much done it for what, 2 years now? You've
uh,
a,
probably a
a
little bit long. Watching consistently, probably about a couple years, but I've watched them a little bit longer, just not consistently every one.
yeah. Um, I can say this after watching almost darn near every single one of them for going on 5 years now, man. I completely get it, but I'm loyal to the brand. But I'm the one who got you into them accidentally. Like I wasn't expecting to make you a fan, but
Yeah.
things happened. But speaking of fans, your favorite genre is horror.
Yeah.
And you know I'm not the biggest horror fan. However,
No.
us doing this show and you and I being such good friends, I've given horror more of a chance. because you know my limits.
Yeah.
So I went to go and see Night Swim. I went on a Monday afternoon at a 4 o'clock showing, and I was expecting to have a few people there because it was opening weekend. It was the Monday after opening weekend. It wasn't too cold out. School was in session. I was expecting maybe some teenagers, maybe an older couple, a married couple want to go in there and see the movie. I sat in there and I was on the phone with you, and I said, "Man, I'm the only one in this theater." I was the only one in my theater seeing Night Swim. And was that a bit of a foreshadowing of how the film was going to be? Let's get into it. Night Swim is all about forced into early retirement by a degenerative illness. Former baseball player Ray Waller moves into a new house with his wife and 2 children. He hopes that the backyard swimming pool will be fun for the kids and provide physical therapy for himself. However, a dark secret from the home's past soon unleashes a malevolent force. A malevolent force that drags the family into the depths of inescapable terror. Now, we were talking before this movie even came out. The reviews have not they either had not come out or they just came out. And we were talking about it. You know more about this than I do. And I know that you will go into that in just a minute. I sat there and I heard this movie was garbage. I have some friends who did not like this film at all. They hate this movie. It's one of their worst the entire year. And I sat there in that theater. First, I was terrified because I'm in the theater to watch a horror movie by myself as a non-horror fan. Hey, the last time that happened was for Scream 6, and we know how that went.
It could have been The Exorcist you went and saw, or Evil Dead Rise by yourself in the theater.
Hey, you know I wouldn't be in there for The Exorcist, but Evil Dead Rise, if my theater would have gotten it, I don't remember if they got it or not, but if they did, whoo, I might have been a little more scared. This movie was not all that scary. I will say this. It was not all that scary. It had creepy elements. I mean, I did enjoy that one scene with the older woman. That was a pretty creepy scene. Now just imagine. You're in the theater by yourself. It's pitch black dark. It's darker in the theater than it usually is. I'm in the middle of this big old auditorium. Doors are they're closed behind me, and I'm the only one there. A lady just staring at you. I'm sorry. If I am at work and that happens, I'm going to the back room. I don't care who you are. That legitimately creeped me out. That was a creepy moment. There were some legitimately creepy moments in the house in the final act. I enjoyed a couple moments here and there. Now, I'm not going to go into the personal issues I have with the film because my mom does have MS. She does have MS. So I'm not going to go into that because I don't know the different types of MS because there are different types. But this one is a little bit different than what my mom has. So, This one, I'm going to say this. Going into this movie knowing he had MS, I like the representation because you don't get a whole lot of that. However, what they did there, I really did not enjoy them using his legs as like a plot device involving the pool. Yes, it's physical therapy, but I really don't know. I mean, physical therapy to try and get out there to play the game again, I don't think that's going to happen this quickly after you are just diagnosed. And leaving the MS out of it, right? Wyatt Russell does a good enough job. He does a good enough job in this role. He's not as great as I thought he would be. He was very, very good as the new Captain America in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And Carey Condon. Carrie Condon. She was phenomenal in this. Her delivery, her acting in this is phenomenal. She saved this whole entire movie, as well as the daughter. The daughter, she's really, really good in here. There's a character that comes over to the house to swim in the pool that is just kind of forgotten about. They introduce a pool party that we don't really know where it is because her parents hold a pool party. Not the same pool party. It's more of like a housewarming party, getting to know the neighbors and stuff. But I thought this had some creepy enough moments. I enjoyed this more as a not a horror lover, but as a film lover watching a horror film. I enjoyed this really. I mean, I can see myself buying this on Blu-ray if it goes down in price enough. I don't see this being a day one buy unless it's like a $20 Blu-ray and I have a gift card or something. Oh, and I get it free or something. But I enjoyed this enough. Now, not knowing what you are going to say, I went easier on this film because do they explain why this pool is evil? What this thing is? Do they explain it? Well, I'm gonna let you take it here. What did you think about Night Swim?
Well, obviously, if you put James Wan's name on anything horror wise, I'm going to be interested. The preview for it looked fine. I know we talked about the trailer when it dropped. It didn't look all that amazing. It looked fine. It looked like it might be a decent film. After watching it, I was disappointed. It's definitely not up James Wan's usual alley for horror, doing his horror stuff, which he just helped produce it, kind of like Blumhouse does with movies. He didn't actually do much with the script, I don't think, or anything like that. He just pretty much gave them money and said, "Here, you can put my name on it," basically to help sell the movie. So I'm not going to really let this affect my love for James Wan's horror movies that he actually has more to do with.
Mm-hmm.
But the film, it was okay. The acting was fine. The creature, I guess we could call it, demon, whatever. I wish we could have got more of that. I don't feel like we really got that the demon creature much at all, until you'd get his voice here and there or something, but nothing really major. So that kind of was a low point for the movie. And as you said, with like some of the plot holes with the extra person, that came over for the pool party not being used anymore, and then a pool party we never got to see. So there's plenty of plot holes here. But from what we heard, from what they said, this is supposedly they got this idea from an actual haunted pool. I can't remember where it's at exactly, but it's supposed to be based off of an actual haunted pool. How much they used of that story of the pool to make this movie, I don't know. But it definitely got that. It's supposed to have got the idea from a real haunted pool. But it was very underwhelming. It was a movie that I feel like you could have, if you're basing it off of a real life haunted pool, I feel like you could have done a lot more with it. I think you could have took more of the stories, the urban legends, whatever you want to call them, of that haunted pool, and put it into your movie and done something else with it instead of making it be basically a demon that possesses people or whatever from the pool. But overall, would I watch it again? Maybe as a throw-on, easy watch. Nothing I would be excited for to watch anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5. I think that was a pretty fair score for it. I do like the ending. I did like the ending to it. I will say that I think it was a different ending for most than most horror movies. um, but yeah, not much more to say on it. I just wish they could have done a little bit more with it. Maybe change the story up completely and just went with more what the real haunted pool was about.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, I remember that when we were talking, you told me that you guys watched might have been like a Ghost Hunters or something show, and they did that pool.
yeah,
So, would you say that, say, if you wanted to watch this one again, would you wait until it drops on Peacock in probably April or May before buying the Blu-ray, or would you buy the Blu-ray first?
uh, I mean, I would probably just watch it on Peacock until the Blu-ray went down in price. I
Mm-hmm.
don't see me buying it for $22. Um, I would maybe $5 to $10 at most. But yeah, I would watch it on Peacock again first before I would buy it.
So you gave this a 3 out of 5. I went with a 2.5, which I think is a pretty fair score.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, yes, a 2.5 is a 50%. But to me, if you look at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 star on Letterboxd, I look at 1, 2, 3, 4 as FDCBA. That's how I look at that's how I grade it. But let's get into this next one. This next one is one that we both watched, and it's a new Netflix film. This is Good Grief. Good Grief is a new dramedy written, directed, and starring Dan Levy. When his husband unexpectedly dies, Mark's world shatters, sending him and his two best friends on a soul-searching trip to Paris that reveals some hard truths that they each needed to face. This is not a bad little film, right? This is not a bad little film. However, I think this movie worked for me more than others because I thought there was enough there. Now with comedy, it's either going to hit or it's not. It's either going to click with you or it's not. And I thought that there was enough comedy there to overshadow, well, see, not overshadow, but make the grief a little bit easier to get through because this is a very heavy film. It's a very heavy film. It's
Yeah,
centered on grief for the most part. There are some points where it's not set on the grief. There are some subplots here and there that they did flesh out well enough, but I just thought that this film was just a little bit overly long. It started to drag. There were some unneeded characters, and I will say this: the comedy worked enough for me where I can say, do I see myself watching this film again? By all means, no. But this is a really solid little directorial debut for Dan Levy because knowing people who have made films, I can tell you this: writing, directing, and acting in your film is one of the hardest things to do. Because you and I would like to write a screenplay, right?
mm-hmm.
However, there's a difference between writing a screenplay and writing a good screenplay. we can just say, hey, this guy with a mask goes into the woods and starts to kill people. Slash hash brown. We wrote a screenplay. However, there's a difference between that and writing a screenplay with good characters, with good time to flesh out each characters. And I think with Dan Levy doing what he did all those years on Schitt's Creek, I think he knows how to flesh out these characters enough. But also, he did one mistake by adding in too many characters, I think. Yes, it is focused on his two friends, but there's just other side characters that were just unneeded in here. I think this could have been just a grief story. It would have been a little bit better instead of trying to focus on a love. Get over your grief by finding a new partner. But this is a good little film that I'm going to give 3 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed this enough. I did forget to put it on my letterbox, but not a bad little film. I will say that, not a bad little film. What did you think about this one?
So I like Dan Levy. He's great in Schitt's Creek. And the other stuff I've seen him in, he's really good in as the side characters. So seeing him in this kind of a main role, mostly focused on him, I was curious to see how it would work out, especially since he wrote it and directed it. Mm-hmm. And I didn't like it as much as you did, mostly because the comedy did not work for me. I never got the lighter moments to kind of relieve from the heavy grief moments throughout the movie. So for me, the movie was just completely all one tone of just heavy grief. Mm-hmm. And so that really just kind of weighed the movie down for me, made it really drag. I do think that, as you said, with being too many characters, I think they did too much with his friends. I think his focus on his grief, his character's grief, was enough. I don't think you need to add in extra storylines with his two friends. I think they could have just been there really to help him and pull him out of that and make it more funnier and more of a lighthearted grief story. But because I've seen grief stories done differently, that does work. That does have that balance for me.
Yeah.
And but unfortunately, he didn't get it with this. He had too many heavy stories in this, especially his. Not enough light comedy moments for me that actually worked. But overall, I still gave it a 2.5 out of 5. I think it was something that it was a good first outing for him, good try. But nothing that really knocked it out of the park. Nothing that made me just say, "Wow, he's on his way up at this moment." Anyways, we'll see what he does with his next one, but hopefully, maybe he'll get that balance in his next one.
Yeah. So next, we're going to go into 2 TV series, because then we're going to talk about films separately. But we're going to just stick with what we both watched. So first, yes, we're a bit late on this, but The Last of Us. The Last of Us is a show that you and I watched the first 2 episodes of once they dropped. Like the week they dropped, we watched them. Then life got busy. We got movies to watch. We have work. We have family. I just never got back around to it. And you and I were meaning to.
Yeah.
And I was going to watch this show anyways at some point. I was going to finish it. And we're really not going to go into the story of The Last of Us because it's been on for over, a year now?
Yeah.
And it's a game. We know we're getting a season 2. Yeah. But let's get into it, right? I really enjoyed this series. This is a really, really good series. There was one episode in particular that I thought just really didn't keep my attention. But I'll get into that in just a minute. What did you think about The Last of Us episode 3 with the couple? Because I know that episode worked for me because it fleshed out what other people were going through. You gave us 2 likable characters. You gave us a good story, as well as a very, very well done romance mixed with bringing in Joel and Ellie, because I was afraid they weren't going to bring them in at some point, but they brought them in very, very nicely. It tied them up, and it gave him a reason to take a shower. Because let's be honest, if we were in their situation, we'd want a shower too.
Yeah.
Whether it's hot or cold. Because as we saw in this show, they don't get a whole lot of time to do a whole lot of anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot
Yeah.
of walking and trying to get to where he needs to get her so he can go and see his brother as well.
Yeah.
The one episode that did not work for me all that much was the episode where they brought in the one guy and his brother, his little brother.
Oh,
That
yeah.
episode did not work for me. Adding in them having a place of shelter with another person, and the boy being deaf, not really understanding what's going on because he can't hear. So the gunshots, the zombies, he can't hear anybody coming up behind him. That's a very nice touch. I don't know if that's in the game or not. I really don't. But that episode did not work for me because it just started to drag the series down a little bit, and I felt like I needed to take a little bit of a break from it after that. Where we picked back up was when we got to the episode called Kin. Kin is where we meet Joel's brother and his new wife. We see a actual town that still has power. They have a big community. It's showing how everybody is coping with it because this place is safe. What I want them to do is in season 2, are they going to expand upon that? Because I don't know what happens in the game. I don't know if this was actually what happened in the game. We have not played any of the games. We are not gamers, so we don't know. But are they going to go into the town? Are the zombies, we'll call them, the infected, going to be in the town and going after people that way? I don't know, but I'm very intrigued to do that. One thing I like what they're trying to do is they're trying to get you to not like Joel because of the ending of this first season. Now, not knowing the game, I don't know if this is true to the game or not, but I enjoyed that because you're starting to dislike him a little bit. Because Ellie's supposed to trust him, and yes, he's doing what's best for her, but he's also doing what's best for him. Because after losing his daughter, this is now basically his daughter. He has to look after her because he feels like she's the only one he has left, really. And he's the only one that she has now. I enjoyed the series overall. I thought there was enough action, but with HBO, they are very character driven. They're very character driven, as we saw with a Game of Thrones. I saw with Game of Thrones for 8 freaking seasons. And with House of the Dragon, the first season, we barely had any action. Season 2, we're going to get a lot more of the dragon action, and I'm there for it. I'm going to be there like a 5-year-old, jumping in my seat, ready for it. But I loved this series. I loved this season. I can't wait to buy this on Blu-ray. It's a very, very good show. I can't wait for season 2 in 2025. What did you think of The Last of Us?
I enjoyed it. I think my favorite episode was episode 3. I think that out of all the character-driven episodes that we got in this, that was definitely the best one, with showing everything that's happening with them, and actually them getting the showers and everything. For me, I don't know how much zombie action is in the games. There may not be that much in the games. It may be a character-driven, more storyline than anything. But, for me, I would have loved a little bit more of the zombies in it. Also, with it being so character driven, they didn't really drag anything out. Pretty much every dilemma, every situation was resolved within that episode. There was no, like we got in The Walking Dead with like the governor and stuff, where it expanded a whole season and maybe a little more into another one. There's no, dragging it out. It was pretty much one and done for each episode. Everything, and I didn't mind that necessarily, but looking at it, I'm like, you could have dived more into some of these characters, gave us more, especially the episodes, which I know you didn't like it with the brothers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know her real name, but she played Rose on 2.5 Men.
Oh yeah, Melanie Linsky.
Yeah.
Melanie Linsky.
You could have got more build up of her character. She is supposed to me. They're trying to build her as this like big villain or whatever, and you really don't get any of that build up for her. You get a very piece of it, and then she's gone.
Mm-hmm.
In that same episode. So, it makes me wonder why they're going so fast with it. Is it staying true to the game? Are they just afraid to drag it out because they don't want people to get bored of it, like they did with like The Walking Dead and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
11 seasons into it or whatever it lasted. But so that kind of I was mixed on, and the ending where he lies to Ellie, I was very mixed on that too, because I feel like he didn't really need to. I think he could have explained it to her, and I think she would have understood. She's very mature for her age, and I think she would have understood, like, hey, I had to do this because you didn't have the choice whether you wanted to live or die. I didn't want you to be killed without having to say so. But at the same point, I sort of understand why he did it, because I think in his mind, he's also thinking, did he do it for his own reasons? Did he really take into account what she wanted, or did he do it because that's what he wanted?
Mm-hmm.
So I get, in a way, why he doesn't tell her in lies, but on the other hand, I'm like, well, he's kind of pinning himself to be an a-hole for no reason.
Yeah.
Or be a liar for no reason. So, but overall, still was a good series. I think if we was able to grade them on Letterboxd, I would give it a 4 out of 5 for the series overall. Look forward to season 2, see what it brings. But we'll try to stay on it once it drops and not wait a whole year or a little over a year to finish it. But we'll see. Life could get in the way again, but it'll be on the board to watch at some point once it all drops.
Well, one good thing is now, since we're trying to watch stuff for the podcast, but not all the same stuff anymore, like we were with the Hallmark and the Christmas. Now we can just do a piece here and a piece there, and we don't have to do every single thing now.
Yeah.
Whereas I will watch some different things than you will.
Yeah.
But this one here, so for what you said, if we had to rate these, if we could rate these on, say, a Letterboxd, which I know they're going to bring in some TV shows. I know they said by the end of this year, I think you can do that now with like Ted or something like that. But speaking of Ted, that's our next review for Ted. But for Last of Us, I'm going to go with a 4 to a 4.5. I don't know which way to go. I was very not into the brother episode. I thought that was just a little too boring for my liking. I don't know if it was a burnout from it, but then again, I did binge watch all 7 episodes of Ted in one day. And I'm a fan of Ted. I really love the first movie. I love the first film. The second film, I've watched it once. I don't remember a whole lot about it besides, Flash Gordon. There's no Mila Kunis, and you got Amanda Seyfried in it. Okay.
Yeah.
But those are 2 films I can easily just stick in my player at any time. I can pop those in my Blu-ray player at any time, and I'm good. And I know I'll get laughs. Ted is a prequel series, and now we got Johnny and Ted. Johnny is in high school, and he's not had a girlfriend. He's never done drugs. He's never had sex. He's never drank. Ted is the foul-mouthed teddy bear that we all know and love. You and I are Seth MacFarlane fans. We love Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah.
This had a very great Family Guy feel. Very early on in the Family Guy series. Like the first 3 or 4 seasons when he was still writing on it.
Yeah.
Except a lot dirtier. This series worked for me. I loved this series. I know you weren't a fan of one of the episodes, but I get why they did it. Because he's trying to do a Family Guy thing, or they tackle a certain subject matter. But it's not going to work for some people, but it will for some others. I've heard nothing but high praise for this series. I haven't heard one person say, I hate this show, I hate this episode, I hate this, I hate that. It's becoming a universally loved show, and it is the most watched Peacock series or thing on Peacock, I think, ever. It has become the most watched thing on Peacock, which is not surprising. You put Seth MacFarlane in anything, they love Ted. We wanted a third Ted film. I don't know if Ted 3 just didn't do that well at the box office to warrant a third film, but I enjoyed this. I really enjoyed the last episode a lot. The kid who they played to play a young Mark Wahlberg, I don't know where they found him, but oh my God, he is so freaking close to how Johnny was in the first Ted film. I mean, this was spot on casting. Seth MacFarlane, does he do a Peter Griffin, the same voice as Peter Griffin? Yeah, that's pretty much what he does as Ted. But I'm not going to say I hated it because we know what we're getting from Ted. We know it. But I loved this series. Now, one thing I will say is it started to wear out its welcome around episode 5. Episode 6, I thought they went a little bit over the top, adding in the talking truck. The talking truck, that was a bit funny at first. They added in the girl being a lesbian. Okay, fine. That's all fine and dandy. Nothing wrong with that. It's just, do you manage it well? And is the series starting to outweigh its welcome? A little bit, yes, because these episodes did not need to be... That first episode did not need... It's 50 minutes. Come on, it's 50 minutes. There were short episodes of The Last of Us that flew by.
Yeah.
The first episode of Ted did not need to be 50 freaking minutes long. You could have made these half hour. Tops. Yeah. And it would have been a nice, concise series. Make the last episode 45 minutes with him going to prom and potentially losing his virginity. Man, I just feel so bad for that kid. Because, man, he had a rough go of it that episode, man. He had a rough go the whole series. But I loved this show. Why didn't you give me more episodes? I hate I hate we have to wait potentially a whole another year to a year and a half to 2 years if we even get a season 2. I hope we get a season 2 because I would like them to go full more. But
yeah, I think 7 was a very weird number to stop on. You know, usually they stop at like 5 or 10, maybe 8. But 7 was just such an odd number to stop on. I don't know what made him go with 8 or go with 7, but that's just strange.
But I'm going to end up giving Ted 4.5. I really loved this series. I want more of Ted. I cannot wait to get more of Ted. Please give me more of this bear. Even if it's a third film, just give me a prequel film with him and lead into it. Lead into the next season or something. I mean, you're giving me a Mandalorian movie with a potential for the Mandalorian Season 4, why not do that? But we will see what happens with Ted. What did you think of the first season of Ted?
I thought it was really good. I think the first episode was a little long. The comedy style, the way it's set up, the music, the cutaways, all shades of Family Guy. I mean, the music was pulled straight from Family Guy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. um, but like you said, the series around episode 5, the comedy is still good, but it starts to lose a little bit of the magic, just a little bit, not a lot, to where it makes the series bad or nothing. But it sort of starts to become one of those where you're not laughing as hard,
Yeah.
for me personally. And then you got to episode 6, where I didn't hate the episode. I just think it was too heavy on the subject matter in that episode. And then I did not really care about the talking truck part. I thought that was very strange. They threw that in there. I mean, the dad randomly gets a wish. I mean, they never even brought that up in the movies. It felt very kind of thrown in just for some laughs, but it didn't really work for me fully. But I did love the ending, the final episode. I love how they ended it with leaving us on sort of a nice little song, I'll just say. But yeah, overall, I would give the series a 4 out of 5. It was still a very enjoyable series, funny, something you can just throw on like Family Guy and just let play and listen to. And even if you're not paying full close attention to it, you can still just listen to it and know what's going on already. But I think we'll get a season 2 with how popular it's been. We'll just see where they go from there, see what they can set up leading into the first Ted, because I mean they have to sort of, I would think, keep it sort of true for the lead up to the first movie. So I don't know, we'll see, but hopefully we'll get to season 2.
I think what you can do here is you can get 3 or 4 good seasons out of this.
Mm-hmm.
You can easily do that. I know that Seth can write good comedy. I mean, he wrote on Family Guy for how many years, and it was consistently funny.
Yeah.
Now it's still good. I mean, I'm not saying it's not still good. It's just not as good as it was with a different writing team.
Yeah.
Yes, you still have the same stars, the same voices, and some of the same jokes, but it's starting to get to where. See, now I haven't seen the good majority of the newer seasons. I've seen a good majority of like the first, going in a DVD order, probably the good first 4 or 5 volumes, 4, 5, 6 full volumes of it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm going to sit down and watch all of them at some point because I love the show. It's freaking phenomenal. But I want more of Ted. Give me more of Seth MacFarlane humor, because the Seth MacFarlane humor is my style of humor anyways.
Yeah.
But next up, I'm going to review 3 films. You're going to review 1. And then we're going to go into the Golden Globe winners, Critics' Choice winners, SAG nominations, and then the little bit of news that we have a little bit to say about. So let's get right into it. A Scottish Love Scheme. Okay, on to the next one. No. A Scottish Love Scheme. Okay. This is all about Lily, and she travels to Scotland with her mother and reconnects with Logan, a childhood family friend. Unbeknownst to Lily and Logan, their meddling mothers have come up with a plan to set them up. I'm not going to lie, I forgot what this one was even about. It's not even been a freak. I bet you it hasn't even been a freaking week yet. It might be over a week since I've seen this thing, and I forget what this is even about. This is a forgettable Hallmark film. This is even worse somehow than the last one. However, it's getting a higher score because there's good chemistry and there's better cinematography in this film than in the other one. Was I more bored in this one? To a degree, yes. And this review is not going to make a whole ton of sense, but I'm mixing it together, all right now? The chemistry is there. The acting is good. The story just is not there. The story's not there. The Meddling Mothers, we've seen that before. We had a whole film about it last year in June Weddings. Was it The Wedding Contract, or was it which one was it that had the Meddling Mother? I don't remember.
I can't remember either.
I know it was one of the June Wedding ones.
Yeah.
But this movie does have some decent acting here and there. Erica Durance is phenomenal, as she always is. This is not as strong as her last film, which was Miss Christmas is Coming to Town. I thought that was a way better film. Way better. Jordan Young was good, but I wanted more from his character. I don't think I'm ever going to watch this film again. I think you did a good thing by skipping this one. This dropped on Hallmark Movies Now first, and then went to the channel. And while I haven't seen the ratings for it yet, I haven't seen the ratings, but I don't know whether they're good or bad.
I haven't keeping up with them either.
I looked at the mystery one, which I will be reviewing next week, but I will just say this. The movie has good things about it, but it's just a bit of a bore. It's a bit of a bore.
It did a 1.72.
That's not bad. That's down from the from the Christmas ones, but it's also down from the Love on the Right Course, but not by much, I don't think.
That was 1.78. So I mean, they're for two movies that were pretty bad. They got a lot of viewers.
Yeah, but then again, I do also have to say that we do get this a lot once we get out of Christmas. We get a lot of new viewers, and we are normally seeing the ratings go up a little bit in January because they're trying the films to see if they have the same feel. I'm sorry, guys. I hate to break it to you. January is not a great time for Hallmark films. We do have a promising one this weekend, though, with Betty's Bad Luck and Love, which could be good, but we'll see. There's my quick little review of A Scottish Love Scheme. I'm going to give that 2.5 out of 5. I will say that. I enjoyed Night Swim over this one. Next up is going to be Role Play. Role Play is a new Amazon Prime film starring Kaylee Cuoco and David Oyelowo. Emma, played by Kaylee Cuoco, has a wonderful husband and 2 kids in the suburbs of New Jersey. She also has a secret life as an assassin for hire. A secret that her husband David discovers when the couple decide to spice up their marriage with a little role play. In a way that happens, actually, she gets called away. And he doesn't know that she's an assassin. We've seen this story done before many times. Whether it's an assassin, like say a freelance, but this one was fine, but it got better towards the third act. Once we got to him actually going to see her to figure out what's going on, and he figures out what is actually going on, then that's where you really get into it. Up to that point, it's a bit of a slog. The action is decently shot, and Kaylee is good. The comedy did not work for me a whole lot in this mystery thriller action film, because this did have some comedy in there. It had some comedy, but it's more of a thriller action film, really.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That's why I didn't. That's why I was like, because I was like, if they would have went straight comedy, like say like a Ghosted or something, then I think I would have been more interested and invested in it. But once I heard it was more of a serious action thriller and it wasn't that great, then I kind of just lost interest in it. Because I just can't see her in a serious spy role.
I haven't seen her in The Flight Attendant yet, and I don't know if that's a comedy or drama, but I know she was phenomenal. I know she was phenomenally received for that one. I've heard she's very, very good in that role, but I haven't seen it yet. Role play, decent little film here, nothing great, but the action is well shot. The chemistry between them is there to a point, but there's just something about this that didn't click. I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 5 as well. Now, this one, Self-Reliance. This one had a lot of promise. You had a very intriguing plot line. You had a star in it that I absolutely love, Anna Kendrick. I love Anna Kendrick. I'm unapologetic about that. She has not made a bad film. She has not made a bad film. I enjoy all of her films that I have seen. Even like a Alice Darling, where she played a more serious role. I enjoyed that one. This movie does not take itself too seriously, and I love that. However, you need to take yourself a little bit more serious than you did. Because this film is all about a man is offered $1 million to play a game in which hunters tried to kill him. He thinks he has found the perfect loophole. They can only attack when he's alone. His only problem is that none of his friends or family believe the game is real. So I'm going to expand upon that a little bit. Anna Kendrick says that she is a person who is also in this game. So they're basically spending time together, and if one of them leaves the room, there's a good chance that one of them is going to get shot. Because hunters are anywhere. They are anywhere. This movie does not really have a good ending. They do tell you whether he wins the game, if the game is real or not, but they don't do a good enough job of wrapping up the story between him and Anna Kendrick's character. They have a fight. It's a misunderstanding. She closes the door. She doesn't believe him. She doesn't find out what actually happens. He goes to her door, and he's getting ready to knock, and the screen goes black. That's the end of the movie. So you don't get a good resolution with that storyline, with that subplot.
That would drive me nuts.
Yeah. And it's a short little film. It's only 91 minutes. It might be a little bit shorter. It might be 88. It might be 86. I can't remember. But it's a short little hour and a half flick. It was fun. It was decent enough. But I'm just going to say check it out on Hulu if you're interested. But I'm not going to give it a high praise. I enjoyed it well enough to say check it out if you're interested. If you're an Anna Kendrick fan, she does her Anna Kendrick stuff in it. She's very cute. She's funny. She's charming. She has charisma. She gives everything that Anna Kendrick can give to a film to make it better. If she was not in this film, I don't know of another actress who could have elevated this material better than she could, because she knew how much to give to this. Now, while Jake Johnson did star in this, he also wrote it, and he also directed it. So he wrote, directed, and starred. We got another good brief here, folks, but I'm going to give it the same score, a 3 out of 5 for Self-Reliance. And then next up, I'm going to let you talk about this one because I was going to watch it, but Shudder said no. I tried to, and it just said this title cannot be found or this item is not available. And I tried a couple times, and it just said no. So I just said, you want to know what? I'm not supposed to watch this film. So, and that movie is Destroy All Neighbors. What did you think about Destroy All Neighbors?
So, well, before I start the review for this one, because I know we didn't talk about it beforehand, are you wanting me to review The Beekeeper, or are you going to wait till you watch it too?
Go ahead and do The Beekeeper, because I'm not going to see that until at least it comes out to streaming, because my theater didn't get that. My theater decided to get in Mean Girls and this week The Boys in the Boat. So I would have gotten in the Beekeeper, but that's just me. Not that I'm angry or anything, but yeah, you can gladly speak about those.
Okay, so for Destroy All Neighbors, honestly, I mean, I went into this, I saw the preview for it, and it looked interesting. And this wasn't a bad movie by any means. I don't think it would have been up your alley. I think you missing out on it isn't really a bad thing, because I think you would have been totally either confused or just like, this is so stupid watching it. But basically, it's about a guy that, yeah, I'm trying to bring up the thing here so I can know what I gave it, because I don't remember what I gave it now.
He loved it. No.
Loved it, yes. Basically, it says here, a struggling prog rock musician finds himself in a living nightmare when he accidentally kills his neighbor from hell. Pretty much, you have a guy who's stressed out. He's trying to get his career off the ground by writing this song and getting it done by a professional singer. And this new neighbor moves in, and he becomes a very kind of one of those annoying neighbors, and all that mixed together kind of just sets him on this crazy path. It sort of kind of feels like you took a shot of acid or something watching this movie. It's very weird. The effects are really good. The comedy is fine. It works at parts. Some parts it didn't for me. But the story is just so out there. It definitely original, in my opinion. But it wasn't anything, ended up not being anything overly amazing. I liked what they were doing, kind of making it to where he kind of was losing his mind. A lot of the things you were seeing was basically in his head and everything, and it kind of left you questioning what was real, what wasn't real. I think it wrapped it up okay by the end of it, giving you the answers to the questions of what was real and what wasn't real. Mm-hmm. But overall, I gave this a 3 out of 5. It was good, but nothing overly amazing. I wanted more from it. I wanted it to be funnier. I wanted the story not to make me feel like I'm on a drug trip from from hell watching it. But it's still a fine enough movie, but one I think you definitely would not have cared for. I think you probably would have been like ignoring the movie and just being background noise by about halfway through it at best. So, but that's pretty much all I have to say on that one. As for the Beekeeper, this has been the best one of the year so far for me, without a doubt. Now, as for storyline, the plot is thin. There's not a lot of character development. There's not a lot of major story plots that go real deep diving into the story. This just pretty much is Jason Statham kicking people's butts up and down the screen.
Bad thing?
No, it's not a bad thing. For me, I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Oh, he's bad.
When I watch a Jason Statham movie, I pretty much watch it to see him, do his thing. What we see him doing about every movie, and this is just that. It's just him, pretty much kicking people's butts with ease. He only really struggles with a couple of guys. The rest of the time, it's just like a piece of cake for him. He just tears right through them because he's this big, pretty much assassin type guy. He's been specially trained, and he gets set off because that we see it in the trailer. He gets set off because the person that he rents land from gets scammed, and he wants to take them down. We saw that in the trailer. We kind of know what it's about, and that's just what it is. For me, it worked. I liked it. I didn't need all the character depth and everything. I just was there to see him do what he does, and I got that. For me, it was a 5 out of 5. It's my the best of the year so far. Um, we'll see where it stands by the end of the year. You know, if it will drop, it'll stay in the 5 out of 5 and be my best of the year by the end of the year. But yeah, I would definitely say I think when you watch this, I think you'll enjoy it as long as you're okay with there not being a ton of story to it.
Mhm.
If you're okay with just seeing him taking people out, then I think you'll enjoy it. But if you want a lot of story, a lot of depth, it's not going to be there. So, but
As somebody who loves the Crank movies, I mean, there's very little story to that. There's very little in character development there.
yeah,
But it's been a while since I've seen them. As a Jason Statham fan, I mean, I even enjoyed the Meg to the Trench. I
yeah,
mean, I'm not going into a Jason Statham film expecting phenomenal depth, phenomenal meaning, phenomenal this and phenomenal that. I'm going in for a fun time. And the only one I was a bit disappointed with was like a Wrath of Man.
hmm
And Operation Fortune was fine. But I'm looking forward to watching all of them at some point this year because I have quite a few of them I have not seen. But I know I'm going to enjoy all the bloody action. I know I'm going to enjoy him kick a lot of people's butts.
yeah.
But and as for theater movies, we'll get into that in just a minute. But we're going to go into some award stuff. Now, we do have the Oscar nominations this upcoming Monday. Monday morning, the Oscar nominations will be out. I don't know when we will be doing the show. Next week, we will just have to see. But we will be covering the Oscar nominations because this is the culmination of it all. Let's get right into it. We have the Golden Globes. I'm going off the Golden Globes website. We're only going to go off of the movie categories. Best Director, you had your nominations were Bradley Cooper, Celine Song, Christopher Nolan, Greta Gerwig, Martin Scorsese, and Yorgos Lanthimos. This was Christopher Nolan's Golden Globe to lose, and it's his award to lose at the Oscars. If he doesn't win this, I don't know what's going on, and he picked it up here. Next up, we had Best Motion Picture Animated. The Golden Globes always try to do something with this. It seems like when they did The Missing Link over The Lion King and Toy Story 4. This one, you had The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, the Super Mario Bros. Movie, Suzume, and Wish. They went with The Boy and the Heron. Having not seen The Boy and the Heron yet, it has not played around me. It's not on streaming yet. It's not on a Crunchyroll. It's not on a Hulu or a Netflix, so I don't know. But I would have thought it was going to go to Spider-Man. Because that's what's going to win the Oscar, I think. At this point, it's a 2-horse race now between Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and The Boy and the Heron. Best Motion Picture Drama, you had Anatomy of a Fall, Killers of the Flower Moon, Past Lives, The Zone of Interest, Maestro, and Oppenheimer. Your winner was Oppenheimer. No surprise there. That's probably going to win the Best Picture. And I'm fine with that. I mean, and if you haven't seen it yet, it drops on Peacock, I think February 16th or February 26th. One of those 2 days. Motion picture, musical or comedy, Air, American Fiction, Barbie the Holdovers, May December, and Poor Things. Poor Things picked up the win here. Not a big surprise here. Having not seen Poor Things yet, unfortunately, it's still not out on streaming, and no theater around me is playing it. I'm so angry about that. I really want to see that film. I can't wait. I love Emma Stone and I love The Favorite, so I can't wait to see that film. Best Motion Picture Non-English Language. You had Anatomy of a Fall, Fallen Leaves, Io Capitano, Past Lives, Society of the Snow, The Zone of Interest. It was Anatomy of a Fall. I did watch that today. It's available to rent, and I rented that one. quick thoughts on it. I think it's a little bit overly long, but I thought it was a perfectly fine little film. I prefer Past Lives, but having not seen The Zone of Interest yet because it's not even playing in theaters around me at all. I think that's only playing in like maybe LA, New York, Orlando, big cities, maybe Chicago. But and Society of the Snow, that runtime scares me, and Fallen Leaves is playing on movie, but I don't have it. And Io Capitano, I don't know where to watch that. Best original score: Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Poor Things, Boy and the Heron, Oppenheimer, The Zone of Interest, Killers of the Flower Moon. Oppenheimer picks up this win here. It's that or to lose, but you gotta watch out for Spider-Man. I'm hearing a lot of people say it's either between Spider-Man and Oppenheimer. I'm gonna go with Oppenheimer, but Oppenheimer picks up the win here. Best original song: Addicted to Romance, Dance the Night, I'm Just Ken, Peaches, Road to Freedom, and What Was I Made For? 3 songs from Barbie. Okay. So here's the small thing, okay? I love the movie. 3 songs is a bit ridiculous. One thing I will say is good thing about the Oscars is they only have 2. You can only nominate 2 songs from the same film. So you won't see all 3 of those at the Oscar nominations. I think the ones that you will see at the Oscar nominations on Monday is probably going to be I'm Just Ken and What Was I Made For? And What Was I Made For won this one. But I'm pulling for I'm Just Ken. I'm pulling for it. Mostly because I want to see him perform it on the Oscar stage and see what they do. But that's just me. Best performance by female actor in a motion picture drama: Annette Bening and Naiad, Kaylee Spaney and Priscilla, Carey Mulligan and Maestro, Greta Lee in Past Lives, Lily Gladstone in Killers of the Flower Moon, and Sandra Hüller in Anatomy of a Fall. While Sandra Hüller was phenomenal in Anatomy of a Fall, and all the other ones were great, the only one I have not seen is Annette Bening and Naiad. Lily Gladstone gave the best performance of the freaking year so far. She gave the best performance of last year. I don't care. I don't care. Having not seen Poor Things, to overshadow Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro in their own film, that says something. Not that she's a nobody, because she wasn't a nobody before the film, but watching it, you're seeing her, and she's a powerhouse performer, and I think she's going to have a couple Oscars on her mantle at some point. Is she going to beat Emma Stone? Maybe not. It's a 2-horse race. We got to see what happens with the SAGs. But Lily Gladstone did win that one, and best performance by female actor in a motion picture, musical, or drama, it went to Emma Stone. But you also had Alma Boisty from Fallen Leaves, Fantasia Barrino from The Color Purple, Jennifer Lawrence in No Hard Feelings. She was freaking hilarious. When her name was called, she said, "If I don't win, I'm out. if I don't win, I'm leaving." Margot Robbie for Barbie and Natalie Portman for May December. But you should have seen her face when Jennifer Lawrence saw that Emma Stone won this. She was so excited. I mean, she was supportive. She knew that Emma Stone was going to win this, no problem. One thing I will say about the Golden Globes is don't bring back Joe Coy.
Oh, come on now.
I don't know if it was the writing staff or what, but you're a stand-up comedian. You can come up with stuff on the fly. Make me laugh. That's all I want from a good host.
I think a lot of that was on the fly. I think he said. I don't think a lot of that was written for him. I think he done a lot of that himself.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And the ones that he didn't come up with right off the fly that was written for him, he straight up said, that was written for me, folks. Cut me a break. I'm like, dude, really? You're a funny dude, I think. I don't know. but your Easter Sunday film wasn't very funny.
I've seen a little bit of his like clips of his stand up, but I've never watched like a whole stand up special of his. I've never really been intrigued by the clips I've seen enough to actually watch a full length thing. So I don't know much about him.
I haven't seen it, but best performance by a female actor in a supporting role in any motion picture. Divine Joy Randolph in The Holdovers, Danielle Brooks in The Color Purple, Emily Blunt in Oppenheimer, Jodie Foster in Naiad, Julianne Moore in May December, Rosamund Pike in Saltburn, and then we got Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. It's her Oscar to lose. It's her award to lose. If she loses this, I'm going to be a little upset because she is sweeping. I mean, she is the definition of a sweeper here. If she doesn't win, gonna be a little bit upset. I love The Holdovers, loved her performance. I need to watch that film again before the Oscars. Best performance. Oh wait. Best performance by a male actor in a motion picture, musical, or comedy. Jeffrey Wright in American Fiction, Joaquin Phoenix in Beau is Afraid, Matt Damon in Air, Nicolas Cage in Dream Scenario, Paul Giamatti in The Holdovers, and Timothée Chalamet in Wonka. This one went to Paul Giamatti in The Holdovers. Phenomenal performance. I'll get into him just a little bit more in the Critics' Choice to see what that means for the Oscar. But I love Holdovers. I'm glad to see it winning all these. Best performance by a male actor in a supporting role in any motion picture went to Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer. You also had Charles Melton for May December, Mark Ruffalo and Willem Dafoe for Poor Things, Robert De Niro in Killers of the Flower Moon, and Ryan Gosling for Barbie. It's Robert Downey Jr.'s award to lose here. I think that Ryan Gosling's done. I think he's done. Robert Downey Jr. transforms. I believe that's it for the movie categories. Oh, nope. We have Best Screenplay. Best Screenplay went to Anatomy of a Fall. You also had Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, and Poor Things. Then the stupidest award, Cinematic and Box Office Achievement. Watching this, I was hoping they would explain how they were going to vote for this, what this film means. No. They didn't say nothing. They just said, here's the award. Here's the nominations. That's it. It's a meaningless award. Your nominations
whoever made the most money.
Yeah. Your nominees were Barbie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, John Wick Chapter 4, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, Oppenheimer, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Taylor Swift The Eras Tour, and the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Went to Barbie. It made the most money, the highest grossing film of the entire year. So, not surprising it went to Barbie. The only reason Taylor Swift was there to get her on the freaking show. That's the only reason. If she would have won that award, it would have been laughable. I'm sorry. If you're going by cinematography, if you're going by the best film in that in that lineup, I don't know, because you didn't specify what the hell was going to happen there. You literally did not say what you were basing that off of. So you kind of just said it. That's basically about it. Now we're going to go into the Critics' Choice. Just going to go into the winners here because the SAGs are not going to take that long since we're only doing the movies. Barbie had 18 nominations. 18? I need to stretch that. 18. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous, man. That's full on ridiculous.
I think it's all about that money. It made the most money, and I think that's all it's about. They just wanted to give it all the credit in the world for all the money it made.
Oh, I don't think it's that, because it deserved what it won for the most part. To talk a little bit about the movie, the TV awards, if it was a limited series, it went to Beef mostly. If it went to comedy, it went to The Bear mostly. And if it went to drama, it went to Succession mostly. Get past the TV awards. Here we go. Best score went to Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Society of the Snow, Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Barbie. Best song, pretty much the same nominees. It just went to I'm Just Ken. I think they found the song fun. It had meaning in the movie, and I think that they just wanted to give it to I'm Just Ken. Best foreign language film went to Anatomy of a Fall. A couple different nominees here than the Golden Globes. We had Godzilla -1, Perfect Days, Society of the Snow, The Taste of Things, and the Zone of Interest. Anatomy of a Fall is not going to be up for Best Foreign Language Film at the Oscars because France did not choose that film for their film. They chose The Taste of Things. So Anatomy of a Fall will not be up for that at the Oscars, but it's probably going to be up for a Best Picture nomination. Animated feature, no surprise here. You had Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Nimona, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Wish. Very surprising that there's no Mario up there for a nomination. That's very surprising. But then again, it is the critics. The critics gave that a 50-something%. So while they gave Peaches a nomination, I don't know if they're going to get a Oscar nomination for Best Animated Feature. I think people will revolt. But then you have Best Comedy. Barbie won this. The Holdovers was funny. No Hard Feelings was freaking hilarious. Having not seen Bottoms, Poor Things, or American Fiction, I can't say, but Barbie did have some good bits of humor in there. It had some good bits of comedy for me personally, but it was not the funniest film of the year. It was not the funniest film of the year. I think you could have easily thrown on Joyride, and it would have been funnier. Joyride was funnier. Strays was funnier. Best visual effects, Oppenheimer's not going to win this at the Oscars because it's not eligible. But you had The Creator, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1, Poor Things, Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse. Best makeup and hair, Barbie won this, not surprising. It also won for costume design. Your other nominations for hair and makeup, Color Purple, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Priscilla. Very surprising that Maestro didn't win this. Very surprising. Along with Poor Things. Because what I've seen with Willem Dafoe, with his makeup, I'm very surprised. Costume design, Poor Things could have won this. It's a period piece. Big dresses. But you also had Barbie, Wonka, Color Purple, Poor Things, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Napoleon. It's old-timey. It's war. Of course, you're going to get a costume design for Napoleon. But Barbie picked up that one. Best editing went to Oppenheimer. Your other nominations were Air, Barbie, Poor Things, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Maestro. Production design, Barbie was going to win this no matter what. Looking at the production design at the very beginning of this freaking thing, when the first pictures came out, you saw the pink slide. You saw her dream house. You saw everything, and you're like, production design win. Automatic. You also had Saltburn, great production design in that, along with Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Poor Things, and Asteroid City. It's a Wes Anderson film. If it's a Wes Anderson film, there's a damn good chance that's going to get a production design nod, or at least a nomination. Cinematography, no surprise, Oppenheimer, Maestro, Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Poor Things, and Saltburn. No love for Saltburn whatsoever. Adapted screenplay went to American Fiction, not Oppenheimer. Not Oppenheimer for this one. That's very surprising here. You also had Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, All of Us Strangers, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Poor Things. I would have went with Oppenheimer, but that's just me personally because that's the one I've seen. Killers of the Flower Moon is phenomenal, but I think that Oppenheimer does have the better screenplay to keep you sucked in for 3 hours based on that with very little action. Original screenplay, Barbie picks up this win here. I thought it could go to The Holdovers, but with how much love they were giving Barbie. This thing won 6 Critics' Choice Awards. You want to know, Barbie also had Air, The Holdovers, Maestro, May, December, and Past Lives. Best Director went to Christopher Nolan. No surprise there. You also had Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Greta Gerwig for Barbie, Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things, Alexander Payne for The Holdovers, and Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon. Acting ensemble, Oppenheimer. That's probably going to win the SAG. Air, Barbie, Color Purple, Holdovers, and Killers of the Flower Moon were your other nominations. Then we only have 5 more here. We have 5 or 6. We have Best Young Actor, Dominic Sessa for The Holdovers. Phenomenal. His first film, he killed it. Give this guy a nod at the Oscars. You also had Abby Ryder Forston from Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Ariana Greenblatt from Barbie. Ayla Lane, I think that's how you say her name, from Wonka. The little girl from Wonka. Milo Garner. I'm not even going to try and say his middle name. And Anatomy of a Fall. And then Madeline Voiles from The Creator. I don't know how you say her name. A supporting actress, Divine Joy Randolph, Emily Blunt, Danielle Brooks, America Ferrera for Barbie, which was a bit of a surprise that that's the only place she got a nomination, but okay. But supporting actor, you had you also had Jodie Foster and Nia, Julianne Moore in May December. Supporting actor Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer, Sterling K. Brown, Robert De Niro, Ryan Gosling, Charles Melton, and Mark Ruffalo were your other choices. Robert Downey Jr., he's winning it. Emma Stone wins for Best Actress over Lily Gladstone, Sandra Hüller, Greta Lee, Carey Mulligan, and Margot Robbie. At this point, I don't know. I want to see Lily Gladstone win this, but we'll see. Best Actor, Paul Giamatti beats out Bradley Cooper, Leonardo DiCaprio, Coleman Domingo, Cillian Murphy, and Jeffrey Wright. So him winning this over Cillian Murphy at the Critics' Choice when they were gushing over Cillian Murphy all year long, that's just surprising to me. He might be your new favorite to win the Oscar. Which, if that's the case, that's all fine and dandy because I love The Holdovers. But Best Picture, you had American Fiction, Barbie, The Color Purple, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Past Lives, Poor Things, and Saltburn. But your winner was Oppenheimer. Water's wet. Water is wet. That's the only thing I can say. What else do you need? Like, literally, what else do you need? It's a foregone conclusion that that is going to win the Best Picture. Then we have the SAG nominations. SAG nominations, those will be on February 24th on Netflix. I will be watching those live. We're just covering the TV stunt ensemble. I think this might be a category for you. Barbie, stunts and Barbie. Okay. I mean, she's floating down. They have to choreograph the fight.
Depending on what it's against, but I would not have nominated that.
Well, you have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny, John Wick Chapter 4, and Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Having not seen John Wick yet, it's probably going to John Wick.
I would go John Wick. Without a doubt, John Wick.
Female actor in a supporting role, Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers, Jodie Foster and Nyad, Penelope Cruz in Ferrari. Haven't seen her yet.
I've not heard much about the movie at all.
It kind of just came and went. It came and went. But Penelope Cruz always seems to sneak up a little bit, whether it's a Parallel Mothers film. or something like that. Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple and Emily Blunt in Oppenheimer. Divine Joy Randolph is taking this. I feel
Yeah.
she's your option. This is shocking. This is where snubs start to happen. Male actor in a supporting role. You have Sterling K. Brown in American Fiction, Willem Dafoe in Poor Things, Robert De Niro in Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer, and Ryan Gosling in Barbie. No Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things. Having seen the film, would you prefer him over a Willem Dafoe?
Probably just because I feel like he has more, he brings more to it than William Dafoe did, I think, for what he has to do. But I mean, for me, either way, I don't think they would have won that category. I think it'll still go to probably Robert Downey Jr.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I would have put Mark in there over William.
Next up, we have female actor in a leading role motion picture, Annette Bening Naiad, Lily Gladstone, Killers of the Flower Moon, Carey Mulligan, Maestro, Margot Robbie, Barbie, and Emma Stone for Poor Things. Whichever way this goes, that has to be your favorite going into the Oscars. If Emma Stone wins here, she has to be a darn near lock to win that Oscar. She has to be,
And it's well deserving from the movie I saw.
I'm hoping it'll be out soon on digital. Give it to me in February. Make it like a Valentine's Day film. All right, just bring that thing out within the next month, and I will gladly buy the thing on digital for $25. I will gladly do it because the Blu-ray is probably not going to come out till after the Oscars or right before the Oscars. So, or right before or right after. This one I was a little bit shocked by. Male actor in a leading role: Bradley Cooper in Maestro, Coleman Domingo in Rustin, Paul Giamatti in The Holdovers, Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer, and Jeffrey Wright in American Fiction. No Leonardo DiCaprio. No Leonardo DiCaprio in The SAGs. Okay. So, you have your top four here. At the Oscars, it's either going to be Coleman Domingo or Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't know what's going to happen. If Leonardo DiCaprio does not get this, I'm going to be very shocked. But Coleman Domingo was very, very good in this. He is pretty much the best thing about the film. Whereas Leonardo DiCaprio is one of the better performances in the film, yeah, but he's not the best in the film. It's pretty much a three-way tie with him and Lily Gladstone and Robert De Niro, but Lily Gladstone outshines them all. So I don't know if they saw that and went, Coleman Domingo deserves the nomination more, or maybe they didn't feel he was being showy enough in Killers of the Flower Moon. I don't know what happened there. Really, I don't. But Best Motion Picture Cast. This is their version of Best Picture. American Fiction, Barbie, The Color Purple, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Oppenheimer. See, I don't know because you don't have a whole lot of major stars. I mean, it's not like with Everything Everywhere All at Once, you had 4 or 5 people who you could pull up on stage to make a grand speech. Killers of the Flower Moon is your biggest cast, I think, with the most screen time. I mean, John Lithgow, Brendan Fraser's in there for about 10, 15 minutes. I just lost his name. Leonardo DiCaprio, Lily Gladstone, Robert De Niro, and Jesse Plemons. There it is, Jesse Plemons. I got it. Jesse Plemons. He's barely in the film, but that's pretty much your big ensemble right there. So the ensemble's probably going to go to Oppenheimer. Florence Pugh, Emily Blunt, Cillian Murphy. Come on. Robert Downey Jr. It's probably going to go to Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
But there's that. And next up, we will be covering the Oscar nominations next week. But we got one piece of news and then what's coming next week. So let's get into the one piece of news I have for this week that we'll have a little bit of a discussion over. But let's get into it. That is, we have the Polar Express 2 in development, apparently, guys. Okay. It's taken almost 20 years. The movie was made for between 165 to 170 million dollars, and it made it doubled that. So it wasn't a massive hit. It was not a massive hit, but we had a little bit of a discussion over this. Do you think that people want this? Do you think that this can succeed, or what? Because I want you to go first, and then I'm going to expand upon that.
I don't hear anybody clamoring for a Polar Express 2. You know, I don't see a reason for it other than Hollywood is trying to find ideas to make money. They know Polar Express is a popular Christmas movie. So why not all these years later make a sequel? They're doing it. That's just a common thing they're doing now in Hollywood is sequels, remakes, reboots, whatever. It's all about the almighty dollar. And even though the first one wasn't a success, I think they think now that it's gained popularity. I think that they believe fans will watch it wherever they put it at, whether they send it to theaters, whether they put it to streaming. But I don't know if it will succeed. I mean, I think it might just because it could be a kids' movie that parents could take their kids to see it and get some enjoyment out of it like they did when they were kids watching the first one. But so it could get some success from that. And if you put it out at the right time, I mean, obviously you got to put this thing out in like December. But I don't know. I think it's 50-50 on whether it be successful or not. Me personally, I don't really have a need to see a second one. I enjoy the first one, but not enough to warrant a sequel. So,
what I think they could do here, right, is if they give us a interesting story, because you don't have a story to go off of here. You're going to go completely original here. The first one was based on the Polar Express book, so you had something to go off of and expand upon that. Now, what do? Do you just do the same thing again?
My feeling is that's what they're going to do.
I mean, we had a Christmas Story Christmas, right? We had a Christmas Story Christmas. That had a similar feel, but it had callbacks to it. With this, what do you do here? You didn't have any character names. You barely had any names in here. You had Billy. That was it. You had Billy.
I mean, I guess you could follow him, our main kid, as an adult, and maybe him and his son get on the Polar Express and go there, and him ride with him to it. But I mean, I don't know what else you could do.
The only thing you could possibly do here, I think, is besides redoing the same thing over again or doing a flat out just remake / sequel, is maybe our lead kid here, right? Not Billy. Because our lead kid didn't have a name. So what you could do there is maybe 20 years later, the conductor is retiring and they have to choose the new conductor of it or something like that. Maybe you make it a bit more adult. Maybe you make it like a sequel where it's for families, but it's not really a kid's film, where kids will get to see a Santa Claus. you will get to see some of the North Pole. But I don't think that we need a sequel. But will it do good? It all depends on marketing, man. It's marketing. Because they marketed the crap out of that thing. I was going on 6 years old when that thing came out in theaters. And that very same Christmas, I went to go and see it in theaters. I believe my school took us to see it in theaters. And for either a birthday gift or a Christmas gift or just some sort of gift, my dad gave me a Santa Claus plush, and it had the bell with it. And you squeezed his hand, and it said, "The spirit of Christmas lies within your heart." I still have that thing downstairs. I'm connected to that film. I love that film. It's a childhood favorite for me. However, do we need one like we need an Elf 2? We aren't getting an Elf 2. We aren't going to get. See, I'm not going to say we aren't going to get a Grinch 2 because we might get a How the Grinch Stole Christmas 2 at some point, whether it's animated or something like that. Maybe they go off of another book or something like that. I don't know. But I don't think we need it. I don't think it's warranted. But I don't know, man. We will just see. We'll just have to see what happens. Because projects do go into development, but that doesn't mean they are going to get made.
Yeah.
It just means it's in development. And you got to bring Tom Hanks back. You don't have the Polar Express without Tom Hanks. He played what 5-7 roles in that thing?
Something like that, yeah.
Oh, I mean, but there's that bit of news, guys. And lastly, we're just going to go into what else is coming out. So, it's not a.
No. Mm-hmm. It's just me. Oh my gosh. Uh-oh. Now he's calling me now. Something must have happened. Hello? Hello?
Hello. I don't know what happened there. Sorry about that, guys. But let's get into what's going on there. Okay. What else is coming out? So, we will have a Santa special that I will be watching on Amazon Prime next week is going to be Kevin James Irregardless. I'm a Kevin James fan. I love the guy to death. He's very funny. I love 2 of his films. I like Zookeeper, Paul Blart, Mall Cop, and Here Comes the Boom. Just, I love him.
I love Here Comes the Boom.
And I like his 2 other specials. One was a Netflix special, and one he just did. So, and then I'm looking here. We also have the Hallmark movie this week, which is Betty's Bad Luck in Love.
Yep.
Sorry, guys, I'm going past a bunch of games, and it's not giving me anything for movies.
I know I'm hoping to watch the ISS and Founders Day.
Yes. Yep. My theater did not get those in. Yay me! But I will potentially be seeing either Freud's Last Session, or I will be seeing The Boys in the Boat on Monday, potentially. If not, then on Thursday I will be seeing Mean Girls. But one movie that neither of our theaters are getting, I don't think, is the new film with Martin Freeman. Is it Martin Freeman or Martin Sheen with Jenna Ortega? It's Martin Freeman and Jenna Ortega, Miller's Girl. So I don't know when we'll get to see that one because it's going to be a limited release. It's a Lionsgate film, so it'll probably go to like New York, LA, Chicago, places like that, maybe 50, 60 theaters tops. And then it'll probably come out on streaming at some point later. But it doesn't look like there's a ton coming out next week, but we will always have stuff to talk about. Is there a franchise or an actor that you would like to do a best and worst of for next week? That would be like a shorter one that we could both do.
I mean, when it comes to the franchise rankings, I've already got 2 franchises already ranked with John Wick and Friday the 13th. So I'm set to go on either one of those. Actors, I can just about do any actor as long as, like Will Ferrell or something like that, easily. Just by going off, I'd have to obviously look at his IMDb to remember everything, but I could do any, like Adam Sandler, Will Ferrell, Jim Carrey for the most part. Whether I've seen them all or not, but it's up to you, whatever you want to do, because I know things haven't worked out for Friday the 13th yet with the rank, with being able to rank those. So
yeah,
that's totally on you. Whatever you want to do.
Well, I got in a Jim Carrey mood, and I watched Dumb and Dumber and The Mask, and I've watched Liar a couple times over the past couple of months. So Jim Carrey might be the best option, or we could do like an Adam Sandler or something like that. So whichever one you would like to do, whichever one would be easier. I rented 4 of them that I haven't seen of Jim Carrey's, and Adam Sandler's. I've seen pretty much all his stuff now. Just about all his stuff I've seen.
I think the easiest would be Adam Sandler, probably.
Yeah. The only ones I need to watch is Anger Management, where he's the lead star anyways, is Anger Management, Funny People, Going Overboard.
I can tell you that Going Overboard is not going to be in your best.
Well, we'll probably do his best and worst for each one. Punch Drunk Love. So I've seen quite a bit of his work, but the ones I have not seen, Spanglish. He's not a big part in Shakes the Clown. So just Spanglish, Rain Over Me, Punch Drunk Love. Funny People, Going Overboard.
Have you seen Bulletproof?
Yep. I need to rewatch The Wedding Singer. And I need to watch Anger Management. And with Adam Sandler, I can throw any of his films on and just rewatch those at any time. They're mostly PG-13, family friendly. You have a That's My Boy every once in a while. Now, are you wanting to throw in his Netflix stuff, like the Ridiculous Six and Hustle? Because I've seen Hustle.
I think for the most part, his Netflix stuff would probably be crowding the worst of his, catalog.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've not seen a lot of his Netflix stuff, but from what I've heard, anyways, it would probably be crowding up the worst of his catalog. So I would probably just do the theatrical stuff.
Then next week will be our best and worst of Adam Sandler. And then the next week, we don't know. We're just going to have to see. We're going to do the Friday the 13th at some point, but Friday the 13th are just ones that I got to be in the mood for, I think. with Adam Sandler and Jim Carrey and Will Ferrell, those guys, I can just shove any of them on. Same with like the Harry Potter. But I know that when we do the Harry Potter, we will have a special guest, and we'll also have a special guest for the Twilight films.
Yeah.
So we will have those at some point, but next week will be our best and worst of Adam Sandler, and we'll probably do some reviews for those. But there's that for you guys. I don't know what else we will be watching and reviewing. There is another film coming out. It's DC Crisis on Infinite Earths. The Blu-ray comes out. The digital's been out. I don't know if it's going to drop to $5.99 to rent. If it goes to $5.99 to rent, then I will definitely be renting that one. But I don't know. But there you go, everybody. Yeah. There is the podcast for this week. And tell everybody where they can find you on YouTube.
It's Scottie and Ashley Johnson.
And your wife also has one, too.
Hers is mostly books, though. It's all books, though. So,
what's her channel?
What's your book channel, honey?
Ashley loves to read.
Ashley loves to read.
Subscribe to Ashley Loves to Read. We're going to get her to 500,000 subscribers.
She'd love that.
And then she'd be making some money on them. Woo! quit all of our jobs. No.
Yeah.
And you can find me right here on YouTube, guys. Like and subscribe if you're new. Thanks for sticking around this long. All these parts will be split up into each single video, and I will see all of you guys next time.